Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Code with Anish. Today we will learn how to develop an iOS application for authentication purpose. So this video is similar to my previous video where I developed authentication application in Android and in Angular. The same way now we will see how we can develop that application in the iOS platform, which is nothing our Apple iPhone and all, where we can run this application. So the wireframe of the application will be the same as what we've seen in the previous video. The previous video link for the Android and Angular I will give here. So it should contain a login page and a sign up page. So these both should be present in a screen called authentication screen, so where the user can log in or sign up. So you can see here there will be an option to switch this page. If it's a new user, he can click this sign up link so that this sign up page will be opened there. If he's already a new existing member, he can click this login link, so this login page should open there. And in both these pages we will have an option to sign in with Google. So in that case, he doesn't want to enter the username or password, he can use his Google credential and access our application. So this is the main authentication screen. So these features will be available in there. And once he authenticated, either existing user via login or a new user after sign up or an user with a Google credential, any of these three options, if he got authenticated, then this application should navigate to a home page. Then a home page should be made visible to the user. There it should display the username and his roles, associated roles. So these two things we can receive from the authentication token. And how this authentication work and all that I have already explained in the previous video. We have an user authentication service and authorization application, which I have explained in the previous video. That link also I will give here, so you can refer that. So it's basically a web service only. So from there we will get a token. So the token only makes sure that it's authenticated. So from that token we can get the username and the roles that we have to display here. And then here should be an option to fetch employees. This is basically a demo microservice that also I have a video how I deployed developed and deployed demo microservice. So that link also I can give here. So on clicking this button, it should call the demo microservice. That demo microservice is there is no much functionality there. It will just return a list of employee details like name, company and their designation. So on clicking this fetch employees, this detail should be fetched from the demo microservice and display here. So this is what we are going to achieve in the iOS platform, which we can run in an iPhone and see if it works. If you are able to make an authentication, and after authentication if you are able to call the employees this microservice with this authentication token, so that it will authorize and return this response. Same way, if the token is not authorized, we should get the relevant error back from the demo microservice, and that should be displayed here. So this is what we are going to achieve in this video. So before jumping into development, so what are the development requirements to develop an iOS application? The first is we need a Mac OS, an Apple operating system. So either in a MacBook or as a Mac desktop. Yeah, here the Apple has made very stringent, unlike Android, where we can develop in any platform, in Windows or in Apple or in any platform we can in the next platform we can develop. But here coming to the Apple development, they made very strict. Their software or their software to be used in their system should be developed in their operating system only. So we should need a MacBook or a Mac desktop to development. And then the development environment, IDE, integrated development environment, is called Xcode. This we can download it from Apple Store only. So once we have a MacBook or a Mac desktop, we can go to the App Store and download this Xcode. So this comes with all the utilities which are required to do the development, like the SDK, the simulators and all the stuffs. And then the language which we are going to use is called SwiftUI. So this is an extension of Swift language, mainly used for the development of Apple applications only. So we need some basic or in-depth knowledge, anything, to start with the development. So the here I'm not going to cover what is Swift and what is, but while doing the development you will get some flow where what all like the normal flows like abstractions, inheritance, the variables, constants, and all that stuff. You'll get a little idea on that. But if you want to learn more on this SwiftUI, I will give a link here so you can go and refer there. It's nice, interesting. It's a good, interesting language, so you can learn there. Okay, so that's the basic requirement we need to start with the development. Now let's see the SwiftUI App Structure, because we are now going to develop an application, iOS application using the SwiftUI language. So how the structure looks like. So whenever we say an application, when we launch the application, its structure will be like we have an app, then it will be a scene, then it is a window group or window, then a view. The flow is like the structure flow is like that. So when we open that, it will open an app which in turn contains a scene, then a window, and then a view. So it's a look, this is a sample code. So if you see here, this is the entry point of an application, so which is annotated with the annotation at main. And here if you can see, this is a structure which name is my app, and this conforms to app. So here conforms means whoever is knows Java, this conforms corresponds to the what do you say implementation of an interface. Same way, so that's only here in SwiftUI we say conforms, and this app is called a protocol. So protocol corresponds to an interface in Java. It's not exactly like interface, but same way, something like the abstraction we are using. So inheritance, so the interface or this protocol is something, it's a blueprint where methods and structures are defined or just declared, not have a definition. That definition we have to do in the structure where it is conformed. So same way here also, this app, so that is what the app here. Then if you see, it's a scene. So inside app we have a scene, that body of this app is a scene. So scene, and then the window group or the window, then the view, the text view. So this is how an application starts. We will write an application like this. The starting point is here, then only we define all the screens which we need here. So coming here, so as I explained, the app is nothing, the entry point, the top level structure, and it conforms to a protocol called app. That's what just I explained. So this represents the structure and behavior of an app. So when you click the app, this is the point where it reaches. And then scene, as you've seen here. So scene is nothing, it is what maintains the life cycle of that app. So the life cycle is what controlled by the app, the system, the OS system. So this life cycle is maintained by the scene. Then window. So window is where our user interface content are displayed. So basically we have multi-window application as a single window application. So it's better to define that in a window group only. So multi-window application means, for example, the application which you are going to develop can be used in iOS as well as in the macOS or iPad, everywhere. So our iOS will be a small screen, it's a mobile screen, so there it will be only one window. But in an macOS desktop or laptop or an iPad where the screen is bigger, we can have multi windows. In one application that you should have seen some in macOS, and multi screens will be open. So that is defined in the window part only. We can define a single window or a multiple window. And finally, window contains the views. So views are nothing, the visual elements like the text view, the buttons, the list view, scroll view, all these are called views. So we can club multiple views together in a group, and that is also a view only. So whatever we need in a screen is clubbed as a view, and that is added to the window. So window contains all the screen. For example, if in our application which you are going to develop, as you see in the wireframe, we have two screens. One is the authentication screen, and then we have the home screen. So in the authentication screen itself, we have the login view, the sign-in view, sign-up view, like that. So this all are view, but all this authentication screen, home screen, everything will be clubbed under window only. If you want to add another screen also, this will be also clubbed in one single window only. So this view combines all the visual elements combined together and will be added to the windows. So that's the basic understanding of what we are going to develop here. So I have explained the wireframe, what we want to do, and the basic requirements and structure, how the app looks like. Now without any further delay, we will jump to the development of this application. Okay, so this is the Xcode IDE where we will be developing our iOS application. So when you open this Xcode, you will get a screen like this, and here it will ask some options like create a new Xcode project, or clone an existing, or open a project or file from the system. So well, for creating a new project, we have to click this create new project. On clicking this create new Xcode project, it will show some options like what kind of app you need: app, or document app, game, Safari extension. So we will select app only with this multi-platform option here, and then we will click next. So on clicking next, it will ask for the product name. So product name is nothing, the application name. So here our application name is Auth Application. And team. So team, I have created a team, means I have to create an account here. So if you don't have, there will be the option to add account. You please add your account. So it will ask for your your profile ID of this Apple. You can enter there and create that. To create, you can give an organization identifier. So our organization identifier is org.code with Anish. Whatever relevant to you can give that. And bundle identifier. So bundle identifier is the combination of organization identifier and the product name. So it's like this should be a unique identifier because this is needed when you publish this app in the App Store. Okay, and then on clicking next, it will ask for a location where this app has to be created. So you can select a location, any preferred location. So here it is showing us desktop, and then on clicking this create, this application will be created in this desktop, and the created application will be opened in the Xcode. Okay, so I have already created this application, so I will just show you how the app looks like, and I will go through the code to explain the functionality of it. Okay, this is the structure of the application. The Xcode will create on clicking that create button. So first, as I explained before in the introduction, the structure of the app. So this will be in turn created by the Xcode only when we click the create button. So it will create a structure with our application name and an app. Like that, structure name will be our application name concatenated with an app, which conforms to the protocol app. This I have explained in that introduction. And then it will have a scene. So scene will be any variable body, and then inside the scene it will be a window group, and window group will have a view. So this is not created by the Xcode on the beginning. This is what I have added. So it will create only up to this, and it will create a sample view and a content and a file with that view. It will be created, and refer that view here, but I have removed that because that is just a demo. It's like a hello world view only. The view just show a hello world, so we don't want that. We want to develop our authentication screen and home screen. So I have removed that, and then I implemented our logic. So this is how it will, when you click the create button, this file will be there, this structure file will be there, and one view file will be also there. So that I have deleted because I don't need a hello world view, so I delete that. So anyway, this is the entry point as I explained here, this annotated with the main. So from here only all our screens has to be embedded into this window group. So as you can see here, we have two screens mainly. I have segregated as two screens, like one is Auth Screen and another is the home screen. So Auth Screen is nothing which contains the login, sign up, and the Google sign in option. So if you can see here, I can give a condition like if access token is empty, then the Auth Screen should be called here, otherwise the home screen. So what does this mean? That means that, as I told earlier, whenever authenticated, we will get an access token from our user authentication service. So that token, if it is present, that means our application is already authenticated, that user using the application is authenticated. So no need to show the login page, the authentication screen again. He has to show the home screen where he can fetch the employees. So that is why the condition is there. And now from where we are getting the access token? Access token I am storing in a place called app storage. So this is something similar to whoever is familiar with Android, this shared preference, which we can store some variable across the application. It will not get deleted unless only you uninstall the application. The same way here in iOS we have something called the app storage. So we can store any value there, and then we can refer this in any part of the application, irrespective of any screen you saved. You can access from any other screen also. So that's relevant. So here when I load the application, when the user clicks and come here, it check this access token. If the app storage contains this access token variable, if it is present, then this variable will hold that value. If it's not present, it will be empty. That's only the condition is there. So if the access token is not present in our application, that means the user is not at all authenticated in this application. So the auth screen has to be visible, otherwise home screen. So this is how the initial flow. On clicking the app and user come to the main page, this logic will be checked, and if it is satisfied, like if the access token is not there, then the auth screen should be visible, otherwise home screen. And also this app storage value we can change from anywhere, any part, so that we don't want to again call the home screen and all. By changing this value only we can toggle it, because this app storage corresponds to a state storage mechanism. State is nothing. When state mechanism is something, whenever you change the value of a state variable, the screen will re-render. The same, so this app storage variable also works similar to state variable only. So whenever the value of this app storage is changed, it will re-render the whole window. So here we have declared the access token here, and we have put the condition here. So from any other screen we change the value of access token, this screen will be re-rendered. So assume that I have set access token from another screen. If we successfully set, we don't want to come back and we have to instant call the home screen. Like if you have seen Android, it is like that. Whenever we set the value, we have to explicitly remove the existing screen and add the new home screen like that. But here it is not like that. You change the variable, automatically state will change. Once the state is changed, the screen will be re-rendered. So assume the case where we are setting the value on re-rendering the view here, it will not be empty because value is present. So instead of auth screen, in the rendered new screen, the home screen will get visible. So that how it's the working of iOS. It's similar to an Angular or an JavaScript technology, where we with the state variable we change the screen view re-rendering. So almost same logically applied here in the iOS. Unlike Android is not like that. We have to explicitly change there was a fragment. We have to change the fragment and load the new fragment. So now we will go to the auth screen and see what all defined there. Okay, so this is the auth screen. So if you come to auth screen, in the wireframe also I have seen we should have a login view, a SignUp view, and a Google sign-in view. So same thing you can see here. Look, Google sign-in view, login view, and SignUp view. But before that, let me go to the full stack here. So look, screen should conform to the protocol called view. That is necessary. So the main application should conform to the app, and screen should conform to the view. Screen means view. I just named a screen only. It's not mandatory that you should name a screen. You can give us anything. Any view should conform to the view protocol. Okay, and inside that again we should declare a sum view and define our view structure inside that. So that's how. So if you conform to view, then it expects a sum view here, and there only we define all our view content. And this view will, as I told earlier, it will be loaded in the Windows group. So it's like app, scene, window group, and the view. View is nothing, the auth screen here. Okay. So now you can see something like observed object and all. These are all state, again state object only. I will come to this later. Let's see the view structure here. So you can see I have defined a parent view inside this view. In the auth screen view, I have defined parent view as a scroll view. This is because we have, as you see in the wireframe, we have some lot of options. Like we have a Google sign-in button, then a divider in between, then the username, password, confirm password, login, sign up, and then again a text like new user or existing user. So this screen, this content in the screen, if it is in a portrait mode orientation, all things will be packed there. I don't feel any difficulty there. But if you change the orientation to landscape mode, all this content will not be visible in the on-screen screen. Only some part will be visible. The other part will be below the screen. So only if we add a scroll view we will be able to scroll. If you didn't add a scroll view, we will not be able to do. Only whatever is fit inside that content, that will be visible. The remaining thing will be hidden under the screen, below the screen there. So for that purpose we should add a scroll view as the parent view there, so that all other views defined inside that will be inside the scroll view, so we can scroll and see it. And then coming set stack. So basically in iOS views we have three stacks. One is a set stack, another is a V stack, and another is H stack. So V stack means vertical stack. So if we want to align our items like the buttons, text, and vertically, one below another, one below another. If you see the wireframe, you can see the username, the password, one below the another. So that can be attained by vertical stack. But horizontal stack is nothing when we want to align horizontally, like there, if you have seen, right, in the Google sign-in view, below that we have an divider, then or, then again a divider. So that is horizontal. First divider, then or, then another divider. That's horizontal. That's only, so for that kind of views we have to stack inside the horizontal stack. So now coming to set stack. So set stack is nothing, it is keeping one over the other. Okay, for example, I have a full screen. I have to show a progress bar on top of that, not just means vertically, not vertically or horizontally, just above the one over the other, like a relative view in the Android, just one over the other. Then we have to go with the set stack. So here why I am using set stack, because we have what do you say, a progress bar. Whenever we do login or sign in or Google sign in, we have to call backend API. At that time we should show a progress bar in the screen, so that user will be aware that something is happening in the background. So that's only, so if you see the first vertical stack where I define all this view, and then I have given a progress view. So if we give like that, these two views are this one vertical stack and another one progress view. These two views are the children of the set stack. So that means this progress view will be displayed on top of this vertical stack. This vertical stack is nothing which contain all the login, sign up, and the Google sign. So it will just display over the other. Okay, so that's the purpose of set stack. So these are the only three stacks. So this, if you get this three stack, because if you see in the consecutive pages, in the corresponding subsequent pages, everywhere these stacks are used to align the items in the screen. So here in Android we have something like relative view, linear layout, relative layout, like that. So here that are attained by this V stack, H stack, and the set stack. Okay, so I think now you got a little bit idea how we can align the each element, screen elements inside a view. Okay, so first if I see, I have put a spacer and with the height 50. So spacer is nothing. If I want a margin or just a space, empty space, we can use this view, spacer view. So and height of the spacer is defined using the frame and height 50. So here is nothing. In the page initially there will be a 50 pixel height there, means nothing is there. I just want a margin, because so that it will be placed not on the top there, it will just place little bit down. So that's the purpose of adding a spacer here. Then the Google sign in. This Google sign in is again another view only, which I will go there, but before that we'll just complete this full thing. So Google sign in is nothing, that Google button will come. So this is developed, this is not a library, this is developed by me only. I will show you that. And then again spacer, just a 20 pixel, because after this Google sign button I need a divider with or text. So that again horizontal, as I told, horizontal stroke, because so that it will align horizontally. Then why I am not putting just a divider, again a divider is nothing, a line. So why I am putting inside vertical stack, because if I give a divider directly under a horizontal stack, the divider will be shown vertically. It's like that. If you put a divider inside a horizontal stack, the divider will be vertical. If you put a divider inside a vertical stack, it will be horizontal. That's how the behavior of divider. So that's only horizontal stack. Then I give a vertical stack, so the divider will become horizontal, and then a text stack, then a V stack. So this divider will be a straight line, then an or with the text, or text, and then again a divider, so it will complete, and that will be instead of horizontal stack, so it will align the horizontally. Next, if auth screen model is login, so now as I told you, in the wireframe we have login and sign up view, which will toggle because there will be an option there. If you are already an existing member, you go and log in. So if you click that, the login page will come. If you're a new member, there will be a sign up link. If you click sign up, this will come. So again, as I told little bit earlier also, here the screen changing is not made especially called by us. It is by changing the state. By changing the state object, the full screen will be re-rendered, and based upon that state condition, we can show which screen we needed. Unlike Android, where we will check the variable and we will replace ourselves. Here, not like that. It will be re-rendered. So that's only I have put a condition. If this auth screen model. So if you coming here, the observed object. So I created 3 state objects for this screen. One is for the auth screen, the main screen model. So some objects corresponding to the main screen, then a login view model and sign up view model, because I need some variables or some state objects corresponding to login view. So I have created that as a separate state object, and a sign up view. So here, if you see the package in the left side, I have created different groups so that it will be easy for the code understanding. So I have created a group called view model. Its group is nothing, a folder called a view model, and there I create again another sub group called home. Now home and auth. So now for us it's auth only. So inside that I have created this 3 view model: auth screen model, login model, sign up view model. I created these 3 differently because I want these 3 objects in 3 screens. One is the main screen, and another is the individual login and sign up screen, or the sign up view there. That's all I created separately. So here in auth screen, what all I have given a variable as isLogin, error, and show progress. This variable is used to understand, or used for the developer to change it, so that whenever the user click the sign up link, the sign up view should open, login link, login should login. So that is controlled by this boolean only. Based on changing this boolean, since it's a state object, the screen will re-render, and here auth screen, the screen will re-render, and correspondingly based on the condition, if it is login, the login view will be displayed. If it is sign up view will be. If it is false, sign up view will be displayed. Okay, and same way we have error and string. Error, if there is any error, to display that only I have given error, that is down here. Look, if any error is there, then it will be displayed there. Just after this login and sign up view, that will be there to display the error. And the same way progress, just I showed you, progress will be on top of the all screen. So that is controlled by this boolean show progress. So by initially it will be false, so nothing, only the main screen will be displayed. On changing this thing, the progress view will come there. And I have given a scale effect of 2, nothing, because by default the progress view looks very small to me in the screen. So by increasing the scale, 2 means it will be doubled. The progress was little bit doubled. Progress view, I will show you once we start running the application. You will get understand how this, what our coding done is working there. Okay, so that's all. So now here what all, so with that we just understood the stacks of this auth screen. Now what all we need to go to the Google sign-in view, login view, and sign up view inside that, and see how it is defined there. So maybe Google sign-in view we will keep at the end, because it has a third-party dependency. Now we'll go to the login and sign up view first and see how the screen looks there. Okay, so login view is here. So if you see here, when I'm calling the login view itself, I am passing this auth screen model, login model, and a screen reset handler. This I have created as a, if you see screen reset, I have created a protocol like screen reset handler. This is because in the login view or the sign up view or the Google sign view, whenever we call the API and we come back, we have to reset the screen, correct? For example, when the user is in the login view and he clicked the sign up view to sign it again, whatever ended in the login handle, we should reset it. If any error is there, we should reset it. So instead of defining like what is a concrete method inside each auth screen and all, it's better to go with abstraction so that it will be reused across the any screen, not only this screen, in future also. That's why I defined an protocol screen reset handler with a method or a function. Here in Swift we call it as function only, not method, with the reset view and a view name. So based upon which screen you are calling, which screen you want to reset, that is the intention of it. So you call this method with that, and that screen will be resetted. And this, if you come to the auth screen, I have conformed to that protocol also. If you see, in addition to the view, that is the generic protocol or the core protocol, I have conformed to this protocol also. So obviously I have to implement that function. So if you see here, that function is implemented. So based upon, if you want to reset, if from any screen they are calling the reset view to reset the login page, they can give us login. If it is sign up, all means both login and reset view, and that two method I have defined separately for the code readability. So here we are setting everything like the username, password and all that. You can now see when you go to the each page, login view and all. That's all. So here I am passing the screen auth screen model, which contains what, show progress, error, and is login or is that boolean. So that model I am passing, and then login view model, which contains the login parameters, and the screen reset handler, which is self, because this auth screen itself conforms to that. So I am passing the self. Self is nothing like in Java, it is like this. So the object, the current object of the structure here, so that we are passing here. So that is login view, and we'll come here. So here I defined the same, the auth screen model and login model again as observed object only, because this is a state object. So there in the auth, in the main application, you have seen as what you have seen here as app storage. Yeah, but here in the auth screen and the login view, we have defined as observed object. Yeah, so the state variable can be defined like observed object, state object, environment. There are variable annotations we can use to define a state object. I am using observed object because, as you've seen, I am passing these variables to different views like login view and all. So if you are passing to different views, and if you are using that object in different views, it's advised to use observed object. If you are using only inside a view, for example, if I am using this auth screen model only inside this view, in this auth screen view only, then you can go with the state object. That's what the documentation says, that if you are passing it, use as an observed object, and if you are using inside a view only, if you are referring that inside a view only, refer it as state object. And there is something called environment object. Environment means across the application, anywhere you can use it. So it will, there you can use as environment object. And environment object, the passing is also a little different. We have to set as an environment, it's a little different, not like that. But these are the three ways we can assign a state object inside the view. And one more thing to be noted, this object, I forgot to say that, even when this state object, let it be this is an observed object. So if you are defining as an observed object here, that it should be a class first of all. Structure cannot be done, because structure is always a call by value and not call by reference. So here we are changing the state of an object in many places. So obviously we should pass a reference only, not the value. Value means if you pass a value and this value is used in different places and I change it, it will not change the actual object, because we have just passed the value of the, not the reference. Only if you pass a reference, whenever we change the reference, means what reference means, whatever the content inside reference from any place, that content will be changed in the actual memory location. So that can be done only by class, not by structure. So when you are creating a state object, you define as a class only, not a structure, because in SwiftUI, class is called by reference and the structure is called by value. Okay, and another thing is it should conform to the protocol observable object. So here when we annotate it, when we declare it, it should be observed object or observed, and when we define it, it should be observable object. It conforms to the protocol observable object. And what all the variables inside that object which will be changing the state, it should be annotated with @published. That with this annotation only it will understand that when this value is changed, wherever this object is observed, that screen has to be re-rendered. That is how the framework works. So this you should keep in mind whenever you want to change this, because here with this state only our screen re-renders and our values get changed and all anything. So this is very important, like an JavaScript application, state management. But in Android the state management is a little bit different. We can also handle without this, and in the new place we have the state management also. But here it is fully like this state. We change the state variable, the screen will re-render, and based upon the value set in the state object, we can change the views accordingly. Display that or not display that, and show a progress or all that we can do using the state object. So this is how. So coming to the login view model, here also same. It should be a class. It should be an observable object, and all these variables, the changing variables, it should be at published. So here you can see what all username, login contains username and password, and there is something called username error, because if there is any error in the username, I have to display some error message. So for that I need a variable that is username error. Same for password error. If you see username and password, initial value is empty, and username error and password error I have given string question mark. This is nothing, this corresponds to optional. So optional means it will contain a nil value, unlike this empty value, it will nil value. So why I am using optional here means if I use an empty string, this contains a value. So if I declare as optional means it doesn't have any value as such in the beginning, it will be nil. Only if you assign it, it will contain a value. But here username and password, it is a empty string, because I am displaying that username and password there, so it will be an empty string there. I don't want an optional. But here this is an optional field only if an error is there I have to show that value. So only for that purpose I am declaring this as optional. This question mark denotes that it is an optional string. Okay, so now coming to the login view. So I got this Auth Screen model and login model, and this reset scanner, it is not a state object. It's just a protocol just for our abstraction purpose. So there is no state change with changing of this thing. So I just declare as let only. Okay, so different. Okay, here in SwiftUI, two things. How we can define a variable is using let or var. If it is a changing value, define with var. If you define once and if it keep on changing, define with var. If it is a constant value, define as let. Whoever knows JavaScripting is similar to JavaScripting only. There also they use the let and var only. Okay. So that's screen. So these three are an input to this login view. Okay. So if you define like this only, if you define a variable like this only without any declaration, means without assigning any value, then the framework itself understands that this should be passed when we are calling this. That's only. Unlike there is no constructor, explicit constructor to pass and all. If you declare like this, the framework will understand that. That's only you can see from the auth screen. Look here, we are passing, when we call the login view constructor only, we are passing all this thing. Okay. Now coming again, this login view is again a view only. So we have some view here. So some view, again the stacks, vertical stack. Here only vertical stack, because this is just a screen which will be embedded to the auth screen. So I don't need a scroll view and all. Whatever is there, we just embed there into the auth screen, which is inside a scroll view. So only a v stack is enough. No progress, nothing coming, because everything is handled in the auth screen only. So v stack. So here what all I need? I need a username text field, then a password text field, and then a button called login. And then, as I told earlier, if not a member, then sign up. This text has to be there. It's in a horizontal line, so put in a horizontal stack. And now error, as I told you, look, these all are the optional thing, the username error and password error. So we are declaring, we are checking if the value is present. If it is not, since it is optional, we get the value using if let. There is if let, there is a god. Multiple thing way we can get the optional value. So here in our case, if let only, because if the value is there, I want to do something, so I am using the if let condition. If let error, this is a temporary variable which will check if this value is present, this value will be present error, and this inside loop will be called. Then you display the text error. So this text error comes just below the username. For example, if user does not enter anything and click the login button. So at that time I should show an error like username is empty. So what I do is I will set this state object username error as the error value. So once we set the value, the state object got changed, the screen will re-render. When the screen re-render, if it comes here, this has a value here, so it will display that error. That's how it works. Okay. Yeah, a little bit went ahead. I didn't explain this username. So look, username is just a text field only. Text field is an input field. Text is just a label. So text field give the, this is what the placeholder. Username, a placeholder, a hint or a placeholder will come like username. And here if you see the text, you can see login view model dot username. But if you see other places here and I am just using login view model only, not a dollar symbol. But here if you see why this is, because this is called binding. What binding means, whatever text we enter in this text field should be assigned to this state object. So that means this text field only change this state object. So if you do want such thing, then we want to change the value by a text field or something, then we will give as a binding, so that this value will be changed inside by the text field. That's what's given here. So whenever user enters something, this binding will work and the state object will keep on changing. So that's why it is declared here. That means here whatever value is entering in this text field username, it will be assigned to this login view model username state object. Auto capitalization none, because it's a username. I don't want to capitalize anything. I don't want to do anything, because whatever user enter, that should be there. Same only disable spelling mistake check, nothing should not, no auto correction, because what user entered a username, we should not correct it. And padding just given, just padding is nothing, a space inside that view, not as a margin, within that view, just give it 20. And here I given an on change method. Why I used on change is, as I told earlier, when the user without entering username click on the login button, so we will show an error like this here. This what we do is we set this username state object, we change that to object, so an error will be displayed. Now user start entering the username, so obviously I should remove this error, right? So if I want to remove the error, I here, as I unlike Android I can just give hide that view or reset, but here we need to change the state again. So I have to reset this login username to, it's an optional, so I have to set nil. That's only I have given on change. If the user enter the name, if there is any error set in this username object, state object, I should change it so that it will re-render, and on re-rendering this error will go off because it will become nil. There will be no value. That's the purpose I am using the on change. Same with case of the password. So password field, or what do you say, defined as secure field here. Here text field is a normal input field. Secure field, what will enter will be hidden, so that will be, and the placeholder or hint as password. And here also same thing, again a binding, because whatever the value entered in the field should be assigned to the state object. So a binding, dollar is nothing, a binding, so that only this value will be changed. If you want just to refer the value, we will give without any dollar. If you want the value to be changed by that field, we will give a binding. Same way, padding, just a space inside that only. And on change, same for the password also. If there is an error, we will display that just below it. So on entering that whatever error set there has to be reset. Same way, same password and the password error, same like username. Then I have given a spacer, as I told, spacer, just a space between the two views with a height of 30 pixel. Once the spacer is there, but a button. So this button is actually calling the login API. So here in the button we should have an action. So action is nothing, the method. So here it's called function. In SwiftUI it's called function. So I have already defined a function like login, and this login I can just refer here as the action here, so that when the button is clicked, this function will be invoked. Okay, and yeah, that I define. Then label is nothing, whatever content to be shown in the button. What here button is login, so that's only, it's contain the text login. Then frame, yeah, here why I'm giving like this is max width infinity means it should fill the screen. It's like match the parent or fill the parent, that is the max width. Min height 50, min height I didn't give us height because based upon the screen size, let it increase. So minimum height I need is 50 pixel. because if I didn't give us 50 pixel, depending upon the screen size increases, it may shrink the height. That's only minimum height 50. Foreground color white, that means text, whatever this login will be written, it will be in the white color. Background blue means that button color will be in blue. Then corner radius at 10, it will not be sharp edge, it will be a corner there, 10. And then after the button I have given again a space of 20 pixel, and then this horizontal stack which will show if it's not a member, then sign up. And on clicking this sign up, what I should show? I should show the sign up page. So sign up page, how we can attain? We have to change the auth screen, that object only, right? If login boolean is set to false, the login screen, state of the screen will re-render there. When it comes, is login is false, so sign up view will be written. And I am just resetting the field also. This is using that screen reset handler, reset view, and I am giving the login because I am currently in the login page, and the user want to move to sign in page, so whatever set in the login, reset it. So that too is called here. Okay, so that is why we are passing the auth screen model here. This we need login. Same way some other error also we have said. So that's the purpose of passing the auth screen model object also inside the login view. So now this is the login functionality. And then coming back, here even in the auth screen also I forgot to specify. In every structure, every view, you can see, you should have seen something like structure auth screen preview. This is nothing. This, if you put a code like this is nothing. If you see it's auth preview, again a sum view, and what I define is the same auth screen only. So this is nothing. If you give a code like this, this is not required for any actual application handle. This is just when you develop the code. If you want to see that screen, you can give here. Anyway, I have disabled that. If I enabled, you can see that screen here, so that when you develop itself, whatever change you make, you can directly see how the screen is, how whatever change you made is correctly coming or not. So that's the only purpose. It can be commented out also, no problem, because this is just for our preview, the names of preview functionality only, whatever we are developing. So same way in the login view also, whatever we have developed here, just want to see it, this will be there. So this I have, time being I have disabled it. If I enable it, you can see it. Because why I enabled it, it will be taking a lot of memory, because if I open 5 screens like this, auth screen, login, and enabled everywhere, it will eat like memory like anything, and my system will become slow. So anyway, I will show once I finish the walkthrough. I will just show the app here only, and you will understand what we explained. So that is the login view. So now what we login functionality. Okay, so okay, so maybe I'll just give a little bit. I will not go in depth, because maybe after going through all sign up screen only, I will just explain the functionality of login and sign up. So here, when we call the login button, first what we do, input is, we have to check the inputs are valid. Input value means username should be there and the password should be there. So that method is called, that function is called here to check if input is valid, and it return a boolean. So here only, if there is empty, look, I am setting that error. That error is what? Add the error in the screen also, because it is a state object. So when a state object is changed, it will rerun the screen. So, and return false. Return false means this action, if it is not valid, and the corresponding action will not be called. Same way for the password. So password and username should be present to call the login action. Okay, so once it is done, again you see auth screen model show progress is equal to. So when I set this thing, coming to the auth screen, what happened? This is state object, the state object got changed, re-render the screen. On re-rendering the screen, it will come here. This is now true here. So what happened? The progress view will get displayed, and since it is inside the set stack, it will come on top of that. Now login view. Okay, fine. So that's what we are doing. Then what we call is an action. So I will explain this, because little bit functionality of basic functionality of SwiftUI I also need to explain. So I will come here later. What will anyway, this is where we call the action. So here in SwiftUI, what we do is like in our Java and all, we say service layer and all that. Here this here they specify as action layer only. So I have created an action like auth action. So there I specified the actions like the functionalities like do login, do sign up, do the Google sign up and all that. So that method, that I will go through it once the sign up screen also is completed. So again, back to the auth screen. So we are done with the login view, and now we are coming to the sign up view. So same sign up view also, the structure will be almost same as login view, but here in addition to username password, we have one more thing called confirm password also. So confirm password, so that field and its corresponding error field also will be there in the view model. That is only difference between the login and the confirm. Username in login only username and password and the username and password error. Here confirm password and confirm password error is there. So that's the only difference. Here also in the code also you can see the same thing. The text field there also, based upon the error we will change it and like that. And here if you see here, here I am using group here, but if you see the login view I am not using the group. Look, if login view everything I am giving. This is why, because this is not that mandatory, but there was a limitation when I developed. I found inside a main view, so this is the main view, right? The sign up is a main view. Inside this main view I can have only 10 subsequent views. If there is more than 10 subsequent view, it will not render, it will not work also, it was showing error. So the option given is, if you have more than 10 views, group it and then display. So that's why if you see I have created 1 2 3 3 groups, then 4 5 6 7. Yeah, if I am not creating a 7, it will be like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Already it is 9 here. Then with this 4, it will be like 13 view. It was showing error. That's why I'm just grouping it. Just grouping. It's nothing, it's just group the view together. It will not do any other impact, just to group it only. As I told, it is just to avoid that there was a limitation, like only 10 view it can contain there. They are saying either you create another sub view, and it's like this login view and sign up view, sub view of Auth Screen, right? Like if you see the Auth Screen, these are sub view. So that's what I'm saying. If there are more than 10 view inside one view, create a sub view and go. But here in my case, the sign up view itself is sub view, and I again don't want to move to another view. That's only. So otherwise they are giving the option group it and reduce less than 10. So that's only I given a group. There is nothing more than that. So same way, same functionality here also. If it is already a member, login, click on the login, it will clear the sign up screen, and it will set login is equal to. So on re-rendering the Auth screen, login screen will be displayed. Same way, when you call the sign up, here if you see the button here, sign up, its action is sign up. So on clicking that sign up, progress show, first input valid. So what all we have to check all the 3 fields: username, password and confirm password. And also I should make sure the confirm password and sign up password should be same. Correct, that is because confirm password is nothing to make user aware that whatever your password entered is up to his knowledge only, he didn't randomly enter anything. So that both the password and confirm password, because he is asking you to enter the password 2 times, so it will make sure that user enter the correct password from his knowledge only. He knows the password. So if it is not same, we will show the error. We will not allow to sign up. We will just show the error then and there only, so that he can enter the correct password in the password and the confirm password field. So that 4 conditions we are checking, and if it is valid, if it's written true, then we call the auth action to do sign in. There it is do login, and there is do sign in. Okay, so that's for this sign up screen also. Now coming to the last view of this thing, Google. Yeah, I will come to the action later once you finish this view also. So Google sign in view. So Google sign in view, what I need, just need a button only. Sign in with the Google button, nothing else. So if you come to the view here, you can see here there is no model and all dedicated for the Google sign. Only I am passing the Auth screen one, because I don't have any input field or anything to set for this Google. I just have a button only. I have to handle the button listener, that's all. Since there is a button handler, I have moved separately to a view. In order to increase the code, I can implement the same thing here only, but it will make the code looks very complex and readability will reduce. But making it to separate view, it will be the code readability is there. Yeah. So now you can see here, if you see import, import SwiftUI is in every screen you can see that. Even if you go to the home screen, sorry, not home screen, we haven't reached Auth Screen or login view, everywhere this import SwiftUI. So import SwiftUI contains that the package. This contains all the libraries related to the view is there. We don't want to specify specific library in this class or this structure. You can just give import SwiftUI. Unlike Java, we have to specify the specified library we need. For example, if we are using 10 different library, we have to import the 10 library here. So in the documentation they are saying you can just import SwiftUI only. It will take care of our remaining whatever library we are used here. So that's only. But here now, in addition to that, I am using Google SignIn Swift and Google SignIn. So here comes. So this is the place where we need the Google library. Okay. So to do that, so we need an external third-party library here. So how to add a third-party library in this SwiftUI is, you can click this Auth application. Yeah, so Auth application, and after coming here you can select this one, this project or Auth application here. So once you click this, you can see the package dependencies. You can come here and then you can click this plus sign button to add the external packages. What you can do is you have to enter the URL here. So here look, you can, these are the Apple packages, but here you can enter the URL. So for the Google, this is the URL. This you can get it from the Google library only. So there, if you go to the iOS development part, they will give the library for the sign in button. So this you can give here, and after entering that URL, you can give this dependency rule as exact version and give the version number. So here you can see I given the version as 7.7, and then you click next. It will download all the library, and this library will be seen here. All these 4 things are for the Google sign-in. And one more point they gave given the Google sign-in is, when you download the Google sign-in, it will ask for this thing, Google sign-in Swift. This will not be there by default. When you click next, it means when I add this URL and click next, it will explicitly ask. By default, Google sign-in will be there. It will ask Google sign-in Swift also should be there. You should add that also, because this only I can bring that button, that sign in with Google button I can bring in. So these 2 things you have to select there. So that's all with the Google library. And now one more thing, to call the Google API, we need the Google OAuth client ID. That will come later, maybe after the sign in login action only I will come there. We need that I will come, but this way. But to adding the library, we don't need that client ID, and we can just add the library. But if you want to call the function, you need it. So just for getting the look there, getting the screen ready, you can just add that library. And now coming back to the Google sign view, post that adding the library, you can import these things. So these are nothing here only, these 2 packages, Google sign-in and Google sign-in Swift. Okay, once added that, this button, this is Google sign-in button, is present in the Google sign-in Swift library. You can add this thing, and you can give a style as wide, because if you want to stretch over the full screen, because I want to put over the entire view. So I select the sign as wide, and action is I have to give the method which has to be called on clicking the button. Same like the other normal button, only the action we have to give. And here I am calling some actions, to authenticate the Google with his Google credential, the user with his Google credential. Yes, to call this operation, we need the OAuth client ID to be added into that. Okay, so maybe I will come to this part later after explaining the login and sign up view functionalities. Okay, then I will come here, I will explain the Google sign in functionality here, how it is authenticated. Okay, so that's all. So we covered the Google sign in, all the views under the Auth screen. Okay, now we will go to the action. What happened when the user click the login button, and what happens when the user click the sign up button. Okay, so here, as I told, we define as action only. So here, if you come here, I have defined, look, a base URL, then a method like do login, do sign in, do third party sign in, like that, and then some private methods which is intern required here for this public methods. Okay, so here if you see, it is import foundation, it is not import SwiftUI, because here we are not using any UI related features. We are using only the other core libraries of the SwiftUI. So that you can bring using the import. Here also only one import is required as foundation. If you are using the Apple core library, I mean SwiftUI library, not the external library. So you need only one import statement. Yeah, so that's all about the import foundation. And now base URL. Okay, so this is nothing our backend service. So as I told in the beginning also, we have an user authentication service. There is a video for that. You can refer that how the backend service is developed for authentication. So that backend service has to be called for our authentication. So here I didn't hard code the URL inside the code. The same thing I did in Android also. I never hard coded because this URL may change depending upon the environment. Correct. In dev it will be one, in staging or in QA or in it will be different, in production it will be different. So it's not advised to hard code it in the code because we cannot change for each environment. We cannot come and change the code. It should be made somewhere configurable so that the config file can be used depending upon the environment. So how we can attain that in SwiftUI? So here what we do is we have to create a configuration file. So see, you can see here, this is the configuration file I am using. So how to create a configuration file is you click here, that application, then you can go with new file. Yeah, maybe before that even all these SwiftUI classes also, how you have to create this. For example, if I want to create a new SwiftUI file, here you come here, click new file and click this SwiftUI view and then give next. Next it will ask for the name, and then when you click on the create, it will create the file. Sorry, I didn't say in the beginning. So that's how you create a SwiftUI file. But this auction files and all is not a SwiftUI file. It just import foundation only. There is no UI component there. For that you can just click new file and select just Swift file, not the UI file. So Swift and SwiftUI file, that's all. So now coming to the configuration, you can just come here, click new file, and what you have to select? You have to scroll down below here, and here configuration setting file, and you have to give next. Then you have to give a name. For example, I have given us dev. So that is what name you have to give, that is important. So for here I am using only for development environment, so I give that file name as dev. So if you come to the dev here, and same way, if I have production, I have to create a file called prod, but anyway this is not a published tab, this is only for dev purpose only, so I have given as dev only. So dev, and then we can define some variables. So here I can put scheme HTTP separately, and auth URL I have used this scheme. This is because I can directly use HTTP:/ here, but somehow whenever I whatever coming after this /:, it is considering as a comment. It is not reading the value posted. So what the document suggested is declare that much part as another variable and refer that variable in the required variable. That's only I have used the auth URL and then refer this HTTP. This is nothing, it will replace this with HTTP:/. If I'm just using HTTP/ directly here, this much value will be ignored. It will be considered as a command and only HTTP dot is getting used there. So that's only I defined like that. Maybe a bug or maybe a limitation there. But anyway, we have an alternative to solve that. Just define a separate variable and use that here. Yeah. So now our point is our auth URL. Demo service URL is for the once authenticated the whatever URL we have to call. That's I defined here. Maybe I will come here when I start that. So here we need the auth URL. So just define there. Same way, now if a prod environment, I can change this host to the prod environment host and define here. But that is not the with that also we have defined the variable, but still we cannot use this in the code. To use in the code, we have to add this in the info.plist file. So here when you come to this info.plist file, you can just select anywhere existing, there will be already some existing variable here, and you can click on this plus button and then you can give like this. So add here, there you give the name. This is the name what you have to refer in the code, not what you have given here. This has to be referred here as again as environment variable $, within the bracket you have to give here. So this name is only, so whatever you define here, this name is only relevant for this value. But what is the key, what you define, this is what you have used in the code. So for not to avoid confusion, I use the same key and the configuration value is same only, just to avoid the confusion. So I define only after adding the p in this info.plist file only I can use the value in the code. So now how it works. So dev, if I have dev and production, how this will work. So after adding the plist, what you have to do is you have to come to this auth application, and now you have to come to this project auth application, and now if you see in this info, close this. If you come to this info, here you can see, right, look, there are some profile, debug and release. So that means this application now contains only two profile. One is for debug, which is for our development purpose. Release is to publish this. So we have two profile here. We can add multiple profile like this. You can click the button and add. For example, if I have a staging environment, a QA environment, I want to run this, I can give it. But anyway, by default, they will give only two profile debugging. So now if you see here in this debug, after adding this dev, we can come and for example, look, here I have added there, release I haven't added. Look, now here it doesn't has anything. So I can refer here. Look, when I click on this drop down, it will show dev because we have only dev. Same way, now if I create a prod file configuration, it will show there. So maybe for the release, I can select the prod, so that whatever defined in the prod, that value will be referred in the info plist, because info plist is where we are mapping that value defined the configuration file to the code, like that. So this is how we define in the configuration and assign to the appropriate profile. So here I haven't set any configuration because I'm not publishing this app. I just need for the development purpose. So I have given the dev configuration file to the debug profile, so that when I run this application debug locally, it will take this dev configuration, refer this value to this info plist, and now wherever we are referring the info plist key in the code, it will get that value. Same if I am releasing it, now when I release it, this may create an error because I haven't given configuration. So I have to create a release file, maybe like a prod or any meaningful name, and that will come here. Like you come here and you can select that here, so that when I release it, whatever value provided in that release configuration file, that will be referred in the info.plist, and that can be used in the code. So that's how we can create the environment variable in the SwiftUI. So that is what about the base URL. So now what we get is we get an auth URL. So that is what we defined is this one, this URL we need, still this user auth. This is what we done in our backend service. So we got that URL, and next what we need to do, we need to we will go through this login functionality. So this is what called from the login view when they click the login button. So here you can see I have an input request like auth request, and then there is something called a completion handler. So these are variable names, this auth request, and this is the type, this is of type auth request, and this is, if you see, this is defined as escaping and then a method definition. So this is what is called as a closure in SwiftUI. Closure is something which we can define as a input parameter here, but whatever defined in this closure, basically it will contain a method only, this method. So I can say this is something similar to the lambda of Java. So we give a method definition kind of here, because this is what this is saying is it will have in parameters a string of type string, auth response and error response, and it returns void. That what this method defines. So what we can do is on this completion handler, what we define is closure. This closure can be called here so that it will not be executed as part of the main flow. Got it? For example, from the main flow, the user is calling do login. So what happened? It will execute blah blah blah, and it will call execution task. No, this is again a completion. What it will do is do login. It will call whatever defined here, like for example create auth record, execute auth task and all that. Whatever in the completion handler, this can be called in a different thread, or even if it is called in this thread also, it will not be of the what is it, the flow which we are doing, it will not be executed there. So something like lambda operator, lambda function. I will not say that it is not the thread. If you are calling this completion handler in this main thread, it will be executed in the main thread only. But what we need in this purpose is like whenever we do a login will in turn call the backend API. So backend API call should be done in a background thread, not the main thread, because main thread is for the UI purpose. So if we call any API in the main thread, UI will get stuck and it will not allow to do anything. It will get freeze, so that the framework will not allow to call it from there. It will throw in compilation error. If you are calling a backend API or something from there, it will throw an error. So what we have to do is we have to call from the backend thread, and what? So on clicking the login button, it should call the it should trigger the backend API, but the other flow should go up. The login, somewhat we do show a progress and keep there. So on completion, I have to get the response back where it was called. So that can be attained by using closure. It is not like it can be called only from background thread. It can be also called from any. For example, if you are not doing a time-taking process, if you are just doing something very fast, we can call this completion handler from the main thread only. So it will be executed in the main thread. So that's the purpose. This is something who are familiar with Java, same like a lambda function. We just pass a method here, and that method corresponds to an interface in Java. That interface can be invoked from the place where it was called, so that from where it was called, it will be called later. So same kind of thing we can attain here, and that is called as a closure in SwiftUI. So here what I am doing is I am passing auth request, I am doing something, and once it finished, I will get a response with the string auth response and error response back to the place where it was called. Yeah, so now maybe I can show the login screen, login view. So here if you come here, auth action dot do login, and I am passing the auth request. Auth request is nothing. Here I have grouped all the request API request response inside a folder called data. So here auth request is nothing. It contains the username and password. Correct. Even for the login or sign up, we have username and password to be sent to the backend. So now that auth request is what we created here in the login view, username and password. So from where I get that? From that text field, whatever defined in the login view, from there we'll get the username and password. Yeah, that is just set to the test state variable. So I assign that variable to the auth request. So the auth request object, and then this is how we define the closure. So as I told you, next parameter is a closure. So it is not required to define as an input. Look, the do login input parameter finish here only. So if it is a closure, we can define this outside that. So what does that mean is, once the completion handler is called from that method, this piece of code will get executed. So now in our purpose, we need to do login, and then we need to wait for the response. So that means the flow will go like auth do login. It will not execute here because this is something will not be called in the in our current flow. It will not be called the main thread. So it will just do login, and then it's nothing. It's just from where it called. The main thread will execute this and keep going. This will not be executed now in the main thread in our case. So what we do? We call do login, and whatever the closure we define like this. Same way we can also define the closure as like this also. Whatever we can give us a variable like the completion handler, and what we can define these things like, look, this completion handler, and this thing we can, whatever this thing we can define a separate function and give us a function name also. In that way also we can do, or we just need an open braces and define like this also. Either way, create as a new function name and define what all these actions there and give that function name as completion handler. So that will also get executed, or we can give outside the input parameter bracket here as an block. You can give like this. Okay, so that's how. So now I come to the do login. So here do login, I am input parameter and then closure here. So with this auth request, what I need to create an URL request. Correct, because this in the backend, what we are doing, we are calling a HTTP post request with this auth request, with this login or sign up. So I am calling a URL request. This is a private method I have created here. So you can come here. This is a create URL request. So URL request, and what I am passing? I am passing the path, correct? Because the auth URL contains the context URL. There I want to call the function or the endpoint login. So I am passing that login here. So now when it comes to the create auth request, here I have the path. So in the base URL, so I am getting the base URL plus path. So here if you see the base URL, I have put as question mark. This is because question mark means that base URL should be present. If it is not present, it will throw an exception. It will stop the application there. Correct, because base URL mandatory I have already defined here from the p-info list. So I expect that should be present. That's why I have put a not exclamation mark here plus this path. So if it is if the URL is there, then it will be set here. If it is not able to make an URL due to some format issue or something, then it will return a nil here. So URL, after passing the URL, I have to create a URL request. URL request, the parameter is URL only, what the URL, that path with the path we created, and then the method, it is a post method, and then adding a header content like application JSON, because this is the application JSON is what we are sending to the backend. So we are passing the application JSON, and then this auth request which contains a username and password, which I showed earlier, should be converted to JSON format. So for that we use the JSON encoder .encode. So if you want to use encode, what the library, what SwiftUI is saying is that structure should be conformed to the encodable protocol. If you are only conformed to the encodable protocol, then only you can use the JSON encoder here. That's what the framework is suggesting or is saying. That's only I am conformed to that, so that it will encode. And this I am using try here because this can throw an exception, because I am trying to encode. If it is not in encodable format, it will throw an error. So that error I am throwing from this create auth URL request. But if it is successfully done, then I have the URL request with everything, with the body, with the header and the method, and I return that. If there is any error, it will throw that. So while coming back here, that's only here also I am put try question mark. If this URL request, I have put try question mark as an optional, because if there is any exception, then that will be caught in the else. So by using like this, if any exception is caused from there, we can catch this exception in the else part, and there look, I am calling the completion handle. So here only you can see this completion handle. When I called, it will again go back to the login view, sorry, this login view, and it will come here. So come with the, and if you can see the action here, auth action here, in this completion handle only the first parameter is passed. Other two parameters are nil, because all these parameters are optional only, so we can pass nil. So I have given that completion handler. So now coming to the login view, it comes here, it will be an error, only this value is present. So that we will check here, maybe I will come to the later. So let's finish the action part. So that's what, because this is why this will not happen, because the authentication request we are only creating, we know it is username and password, nowhere we are changing it, it will not happen. But the JSON encoder throws an exception, that exception should be handled. It is an compile time exception that should be handled. So that's only I have put the else condition. This will never gonna happen, but in case, yeah. So if there is no error, as I told, we are returning the URL request that is assigned to this temporary variable request. And now what? Next is called an execute auth task. So there, if I see, I am again defining the closure here. This is because this is the place where we are actually getting the closure response, and that is intent passed there. So that's only the main place where the login view where we are calling, we are expecting closure, but this is actually calling from this task part only. This task part is where it actually called the backend API, and it in turn has an closure. But here there is a little difference in that. If you see here in this thing, whenever we call this task here, the closure in requests are like data, response and error. Got it. It's not what we expected. So that's only I have get another closure which our application requires. This is what this API will give. API will give data, response and error, which is of type, maybe I will show you here. Look, this is of type this data, URL response, error. HTTP data, HTTP URL response and HTTP error. And what we need as a response back is like an authentication response, our error response. This all we defined here. Okay. So how we will call this? So now we are calling that we had the URL request, that is enough. This URL request contain all the metadata like the method, the URL, the body with the JSON format, everything. Now what we need is this URL session dot share data task. This has to be called in the background. To calling in the background means a different thread. So to call in a different thread in SwiftUI, what we do is something called, there is a class or there is a library called task. So in the task, whatever you execute inside task, it will not run in the main thread, it will run out of the main thread. So here also it is creating a data, this thing will create a task only. From that task, it will call the API. Look, so what you can see here is we are just only defining this thing. Look, we are just only defining the share task and then an exposure, then closure. That means this will be executed later, not with this flow. So how, look, we are defining this thing, we are passing the parameter and defining whatever comes as the closure is defined here. And then we are calling this, when we call this data task.resume, at this time only actual backend API call. If you just define like this, nothing will happen. It's just define like that, just define a data task, but data task doesn't start working. That means it will not call the backend API. So we define like this, and when we call the resume, it will in turn call the API in the background thread. And once we get the response, success, fail or anything, it will come inside this closure part. Now after coming inside the closure part, we will make the response adaptable to our closure response, which is called in the login view. That's what happening here. Okay, so assume the case we called it, and when the resume is called, the actual backend API is getting called, and now after some time let the response come back. So till that time in our login view, the progress bar will be keep on showing as seen here. Look, because we are setting the progress as true here, and this execution has finished. In the main thread, this execution has finished, and this whatever closure will now run in the background thread while getting the response back. But here the main execution is finished, and inside that we are showing the progress, so that the progress bar keeps on rotating there. Now coming to the auth action. So here we got the response. So we got when we get the response in this closure, we have three parameters which will come: data, response, error. So first what we are checking, if data is present. Data is present means we got the response from the backend API. If data is not present, then there is some error like connectivity error, the network error and all that. So there I will just give the error responses whatever. So that means if data is not there, then I am checking if error is there. Yeah, if data is not there, then obviously some error is there. So that error I am setting as a so in the completion error we have three things, right? One is our string error, then another is our authentication response, actual response, then another is error response. These three what we are passing back to the login view. So if data is not present, then this is error. We will check error is present, then that error is there. This error will come only in the case the connectivity to the backend is not established correctly. In that case only, if a connection is established in the backend, there will be some data returned back from that we get here. Okay, so now once we get the data, if data is present, that means we will not go to the else condition, there is no error. So if data is present, then I am checking HTTP response. That means this response, whatever we got and the response. If this response is present or not. So there will not be a case data and response will not be there. So I am just checking the response. If the response is there, then what I am checking the response code, it is between 200 to 299. This is because a backend web service will return a 200 299 as a success response. If there is any other error, it will give an error code other than this. That's why I am checking this HTTP status code. That means it's a successful something successful response only our backend has returned. So in that case, what I will decode that response to auth response. So auth response in the case of login or sign in, what we expect is an access token. This is a token which we will use to call then our on authentication and calling our microservice, other microservice and all. So this is what we are expecting. So if that is there, then I am trying decoding this data, whatever data we got, to this auth response again. So when it comes to decoding, we confirm this structure to decodable. When it's sending us a request, it will be encodable, and if you are means from the structure to JSON, it should be encodable. From a JSON back to a structure, it should be decodable. Understood? That's the difference between, if you auth request should be will be encodable, auth response, because we get a JSON and we are converting back to the auth response. So again, coming back here, so we are decoding it and we should get a auth response. And again, as I told, this decoder again throws an exception. Yeah, but in this case it can be also, because in case if you are getting some response back, data back from the backend which is not in this access token format, then obviously we should handle. There I am just sending an error, just an error saying oops something, because we don't know what exactly happened. So oops something went wrong, because whatever error, user should not be aware, right? What user should have something went wrong, that's all. So that's why I am just sending an only error. But if it is successful, means we got the access token, I am just creating that as, or that response only I am saying. That's only in our closure. First parameter is string, which is an error like generic error, like network error, that is here. Generic error like unhandled error, like this, that will be set here. Then auth response, and then there is an error response also. So this is for 200, 299. If other than 200, 299, then that means something happened, like some internal error in the backend, something happened in the backend service due to which it has written an error response. The backend has written error response. That's come to the else condition, which is not other than 200 to 299 status code. So if that is the case, I will this is in our error response from the backend, it will send just an error message, again a decodable with just an error detail, so that we will be aware what is the error. So that I am trying to decode that error response, so that data. So now we assume if the status code is not between 200 and 299, then some error message it should come. So that data should be decodable to the error response. Once if it is successfully decoded, here look, the error will be nil, the auth response will be nil, only the error response. This is error response, something the error response we got from the backend API. We said here also, in case if some error happened in the backend which is not in our expected format, like this, which is not like an error response, error message, then that case we are not aware what happened. Then we just set an error only with something like something went wrong and other two things nil. So this is why we have the three parameters. One string is nothing an error, any generic error or unknown error, or generic error, the network error or any unknown error. Auth response, successful case, we got a response with the access token. Error response, we some error came from the backend API only, so that error will sending us a response. So that is how. So once do login, so once coming back, we here also, so we call this execution authentication task, and here when if this completion handler is called, it will come here as that. And from there, when I call this completion handler, it will go to the actual login. Understood? So execute auth task also has a completion handler, so that when it is completed here, this will be called back to this one. This completion will be called back here. From here, I don't want to do anything. I just want to pass to the login view from where it is called. So login view, when it comes, it will come to here. So now what all thing? We have three cases, like either error or auth response or error response. Now if you see, I have put dispatch.main.async. This is because, as I told earlier, this calling an API was happening in a task which is a backend thread. Now from that thread, now we cannot do anything on the UI. To do in a UI, you should run in the UI thread only. So to call the UI thread in SwiftUI, we can call this method dispatch.main.async. This will execute whatever defined inside this block in the main thread only, because already the main thread has called this and has proceeded. Now we are waiting for the closure to complete from the backend thread. So once the closure is completed, now whatever response we got, we have to handle in the UI only. That's only we are using dispatch main async. So now what are the three cases we will get? Yeah, once we call, we first set the progress as false, because we now got the response, because here was till this much time, the progress was keep on showing because of this state variable true. Now we got the response, we will make the first we make the progress false, so that progress will go off. Then if it is error is like network error or any other, we set the auth screen model dot error, that state variable, which is nothing here, this auth screen model, this field, this when we set this field, when we come to auth screen, here you can see this field here will get invoked. On re-rendering, this error will come, this error is checking for the auth screen model. Now as part of that we set that error, so that error will be shown in the auth screen. Understood? So that's here. No, we got the response. So when we got the response, what we need, correct response is an access token. We got an access token, then obviously we should navigate. Now we are in the auth screen, we should navigate to the home screen, correct, because we are authenticated successfully. So what we do is user default dot standard. So this is where this is how because as I told in the beginning, app storage is nothing, it is a wrapper of this user default only. To make the coding more easier only, they have introduced this app storage, which has a state object, characteristics also. But this is actually a wrapper of something called user default. User default is actually like a temporary, it's a storage place where you can store values. So when we come here, I'm just changing the user default, and what is that? I'm changing for this key, this access token, whatever I have defined here, this access token, this access token, whatever I defined here, I'm just checking with what response we got from the backend. So when I do like this, what exactly happened is this access token variable got changed, and this access token is again a state object, as I told earlier. So whenever this value changes, I told you, this value can be changed from anywhere in the application. Whenever it change, state object got changed, the view will completely re-render. Now what we set the response as the access token. So we got some token value for the access token. So the whole view will re-render. Once the whole view re-render, this condition will not go good because this now contains a value. So the home screen will be loaded in our application. So this is how that flow works. No need of explicitly calling a home screen and all, just play with the state object, we can get the desired views. Yeah. Now what error response? Error response, same, it's an error response from the backend API. We are not doing anything, we are just same way, in the same error state only we are displaying, so that it can be seen here, this same thing. Even for the that network error also we are setting here, even the error from the backend also we are setting here. So that's the login flow. Understood? So the login flow, same way only. Now coming to SignUp View, nothing different, same way, the same closure, everything will be same. As you can see, it will call this do sign in. So do sign in also, only difference here is the path, this path, even the request is also same, only the path here it is login, other sign, and you can see remaining everything, the create auth URL request, same create auth, only the path is different. Here only thing changing is this path, remaining everything is same as the login flow. Even the execution authentication task also same, because we got the URL request which contains this sign in path, the sign in, the body is same as that only, username and password, and then we call the execution, which I explained earlier. Here also we just see the, if it is we got an error or we got a success response or error response from the backend, and on calling this SignUp View back here, it will also same thing, the progress will be shown. Then since this closure response is received from a background thread, we call the main thread and first stop the progress. Then if any error, we just set there. No, if we got a success response, same way, the user defaults dot set stand, which will change this app variable, this app storage variable, which in turn change the state, and home screen will be displayed. So this is SignUp View. So both login and SignUp View almost same function. How the screen changes once it's successfully, once we get a token successfully. Okay. So now we will go for the Google sign-in view. So as I told, we added the library for the button and we have a function to call it, and now we need a Google client ID to call this function. So let's now show you how to set up a Google client ID, so that only with the Google client ID only we can bring the Google Auth console screen in our application. Okay, we'll see that now. Okay, so to create a Google Auth client ID, we have to come to the Google Developer Console. To come into the console, select the appropriate project here where we want to develop the screen, auth consent screen, and post that you have to come to this auth consent screen button here. So here already I have created an auth app, but for you, if you are new, when you come here, you can have an option to create that. So now I will show you, it will come like this. I am just editing it. So here you can give a name for this consent screen, and then supporting email, that you can give your email ID only, and then developer information you can add. Then you can click the save and contact, continue. So here only it's important, we have to add or remove the scopes. You can click the add or remove scopes. So here I selected only the user info and the profile. So whenever an user authenticates using our auth consent screen, these details of him will be given back to our application. So we want only the email, and the profile is also not required. Email is what we needed for our authentication service purpose from the Google client, but just I have set a profile also, that you can give here, and then click save and continue. And then a test user, you can give your mail ID, and then you click the save and continue. So the consent screen fields will be enabled. So these are all the things we cover consent screen. Now what we need an client ID. So for client ID, after creating the consent screen, come to the credential, click on create credential, and select this OAuth client ID. So after creating auth client ID, you have to select the application type. In our case, this is iOS. We are developing for the iOS application only. Select the iOS application. So your name will be default, create a default. You can keep it like that, because I already created one. So I have client 1, this is client 2, and you have to give the bundle ID. Bundle ID is what, when we created the application, initially it showed, right, the organization ID plus the project name, which is org.codewithanish.auth application. Whatever you have selected, you can give. This should be a unique identifier, so that you give here as a bundle ID, and once you give the bundle ID, for example, with this create button will be done. So once you create it, you will get an client ID. This client ID is required, so you have to copy that client ID, this, keep it handy now, and this client ID now we have to add in our application, so that the application with that bundle ID try to access the Google Auth consent screen. It will give that this validate the client ID and open the show the Google consent screen, or the Google login screen, where the user can authenticate and proceed further. So this is what we need. So this client ID is what we need. Now I will show you how to add, or how and where to add this client ID in our auth application. The Google API client ID, or the Google Auth client ID, which we just created, we have to add into our application. To add that, we have to open this info.plist file. So when you just click that, it will open in this property format. So what we have to do is, we have to right click and we have to select open as source code. Instead of the property list, just select as a source code. So now you can see the actual file content will be here. So in this, we have to add this much part. So it will not be there earlier because I have already added that. So when you're creating as a new project, new client ID, this many part you have to add. So this much part you have to add to the info.plist file. So here it contains two keys. One key is called GID client ID, which is the Google Auth ID client ID, which is what we just created. You can paste here as a string value. The next will be a CF bundle URL type. So that will be an array list. So you can give an array, then a dictionary where you can give a CF bundle. You can just copy paste like this. And here in this string value, what you have to do is you have to just give the reverse of this value. So here if you can see, this com will come in the first, then the Google user content, then the apps, then whatever this value, whatever is placed after this dot, we have to keep in the reverse format. Com dot Google user content dot apps dot the ID. So this many things you have to add into the info.plist file and then save it. So that's all we have to do in this project. So with this thing, now our application can access the Google Auth consent screen using this client ID we just created. Okay. Now coming back to our Google SignIn view. So we just stopped where we click this Google sign in button, that functionality. So on clicking the Google sign in button, it will call this Google sign in method. So what in the Google sign method we should do? So here we have to invoke the Google API for the authentication. So for that we have to call the inbuilt library of the Google Google sign in package only, whatever library present is Google sign in package. So what we are doing is, there is a method called sign in, which is inside the Google this gid sign in dot shared instance path. Here we have a method like sign in. So that method we have to invoke. So this method, what is expecting is, it is expecting a view controller. So and then again a closure. So now you understood about a closure, because in the previous login action and the sign up action we have seen how the closure will work. So here also it is expecting a closure. That means when you call this method, the response will be coming back from this sign in Google sign in API as a closure. So we just call this, then after some time, or when the result is ready, this block will be invoked. Okay, so only thing now we wanted is a view controller. So it's something like a root controller. That means we have now seen that we have a window, then we have the view. So from that view, the Google will be calling the sign method. We should pass the view controller to that sign in method. So how we can get this controller is, we can use the application packages, this one, this UI application.share.connected scene. So first we are checking the scene. We know, right, ours is like application, scene, window, and then the view. So same only. So we are first getting the scene of our application, and it is optional only. So if the view is present, then what, we will get the window. Okay, so scene, and that is UI window scene. Then what, corresponding window. So scene, then the window. From that window we are just taking the root view controller. So that's how we are getting the root view controller. So this is just the root view controller associated with our application, and that we are passing, so that it is like when we call the Google sign in, it will open a window. So this window has to be attached to a view controller. For that purpose only we are getting the view controller of our application and passing to this Google sign in method. That's all. So when we call this, it will in turn open an UI window screen. There it will ask to enter our Gmail ID. If our phone is already authenticated with our Gmail credential, it will automatically, it will not ask again for the password enter. It will automatically authenticate, and it will show some consent screen and all. On approving that consent screen, it will authenticate, and what we get the results back here. So once we successfully authenticate or error, any success or error we will get here. So that's only. So we have two parameters in the closure. One is a result and another is an error. So if it is an error, what we are doing, we are just in that Auth Screen model error text view, we are setting it, and we are not going to the else command. We are just setting that error. If some error happened when we are authenticating with our Google credential, that we just show there. No, if it is successful. So successful means maybe who has seen my previous video of the user authentication in the Android or in Angular, they know what we are doing after we authenticating with the Google. So maybe I will repeat once again here. Here what we do is, when we authenticate with the Google will in turn give a token. This token we will just send to our backend, because we will not use this token to call other microservices. This token we use to validate whether the user has successfully authenticated from Google. So only if successfully authenticated we will get a token. So this token we will send to the backend, and in our backend our user authentication application service. So there it will validate with the Google whether this token is a valid token from Google or not, calling the JSON web key of the Google API. There we validate that. If it is valid, we will create a token like what we did in for the login and sign in, same token, and send it back. So in that way, irrespective of login, sign in, or Google, or tomorrow any other third party come, we will always maintain a token generated from our user authentication application to process any other microservice. So we have a single point of contact, or one place where the token is made. Instead of using token from Google or another third party, it will become so mixed. Better we use this token, but finally the third party token is used to validate and generate a token for our applications. That's what we're doing. So that's really here when we get this token from the Google, what we do is we again call our user authentication API, which is a third party sign-in API, with this token, and this token will be sent to our backend as I explained now. So that's what happening here. So what we do is when we receive the token from Google after Google authentication, we show a progress in our window. So that means that Google sign-in screen will close and our sign-in will be present there. So there we will show a progress because we now want to call our backend API with this token and also have a request like the request is like this one, the third party auth request. So it will contain a string called provider. So that provider we passes Google, and another request is not request, it's this token is set as a bearer token in our request. So that I can show you here. So here if you come to the third party sign in, the API is in this path 3p sign in, and 3p auth request is like here I cannot use a sign in login request because here entirely it is different. Here what we pass is we pass the header as bearer. Look, the authorization header as this token what we got from the Google, and then using the JSON encoder encode this auth request. Auth request contain nothing, a provider string with the value as Google. So post creating this 3p auth request here, that URL request is in turn sent to this execution auth task. This task is generally task for sign in, login and the third part, because here we are not doing anything with the data and we are just getting the URL request and calling our backend API, because URL request know which API has to be called. And then here we are handling again with the closure. That closure I have already explained. The same closure will come as a response here also. Now you can see this is the closure response from Google sign-in, and this is the response from our user authentication service. The same error, auth response or error response. So if the token sent from here is successfully validated from our backend service, we will get a successful response, which will be the actual token which has to be used to call other microservices. That's what given here. So if it is successful, what we will get the access token. If there is any error like network error and all as seen in the login and the sign up functionality, we set that error in the auth screen model, the text view only. Same way with the error response, if any error response from the backend API. If it is successful as shown, same way as shown in the login and sign up view, we just use this user default and set the access token for this key, so that what happened in this main screen, this access token will get a value and the screen will re-render. On getting access token with some value, it will show the home screen. So that's the flow. Okay, so now we have done with the login, sign up and the Google sign in. So maybe I can open the this application and show you the flow, how it works. Okay, so to open an application, here what we have is we have something called, we don't want a real-time device, we have an simulator. So here you can see these are the simulators like iPhone 14 Pro, iOS simulators. We say it as iOS simulators. Just like emulator in Android, here it is called simulator. So using the simulator, we can run this and see how it works. So to run that, we just click this play button only. So it will start the build, and once the build is finished, the simulator will appear and there this application will be deployed. Let's see how it works. Yes, so the simulator has started and you can see our applications. So as shown in the wireframe in the beginning, so we have this sign in with the Google button, then a divider with or text, then we have the username and password text field, then the login button, then here a message like if you are not a member, then sign up. So when we click the sign up link, it will show the sign up view. So here we have username, password and confirm password and the sign up button, and here it is already a member, login. So if you click the login, it will show the login view. So the basic screen, the whole authentication screen you can see here in this application. Now let's test some functionality. Maybe I haven't started my backend services, the user authentication services and all. So let's see if without that, if I call this, I should get an error from the backend, because backend is not running, right? So let's see if I give a login. We'll test the login flow. So I just give like some username ABC and the password, or maybe the first test, like testing the text field without entering anything. If I click login, so you can see this enter username. So this is what I have shown in the code walkthrough, right? If the username is not present, this error should come. Login view model username. That's only if the username is not there, we validate that. We will set login view model as enter username, and that's what's seen here, enter username. And when that enter username come here, this condition will meet and that will be displayed here. Same if I enter like ABC, look, when I started typing, this is what this code will do. On change of this test, it will set this username error to nil, so that the error goes up. Same way now, if without entering password, if I just click login, it will say enter password. So same way, when I just click anything here, look, the password go fine. So now I click the login button and see what the error response, because it's error response only because we haven't started the backend application. So let's see. Look, on clicking this, that progress view boolean will be set true. So we will get a progress view on top of this, because this is set inside the set stack. So it is coming on top of the all view. Let's see the error we are getting. Okay, so you can see the request timed out, because why? It was trying to connect to the backend, but backend is not running, so we got the timed out error. Same now coming to the sign. Look, now when I click the sign up link, whatever error, username, password, whatever is given there, it got reset. That is what the reset logic, which we seen here. Look, this set reset view, this is what happened there now. Okay, so same way now coming to sign up here also, if I just click sign up, it will ask enter username. So I just give ABC, then I click password, enter the password. So maybe I will give 123, and now it will say confirm password. Now instead of 123, if I give 345 and I give sign up, it say password does not match. So these are the conditions which we seen here, right? Look, if username is not there, enter username, password is empty, password, confirm password is empty, confirm the password. And if password, both the confirm password and password does not match, password does not match, this error should come. Okay, so now if I can change to 123 and click sign up, same here also, when I click sign up, I get the progress bar here, and I expect the same error, request timeout, because the backend is not running. So you can see here also you got the request timed out. So that's how the UI and the functionality for the login and sign up. Now we can go with the sign in with Google also. So here, as I just told now, when we click this thing, it will open an OAuth consent screen of Google. So let's see. So I click this. Look, a message will come that auth application want to use google.com. So we will click the continue. So on clicking continue, it will call the Google API. So here, since in this simulator I have already authenticated my signed with my Gmail, it is showing here. But if it is not there, if you are using for the first time, it will ask for the Gmail and its credential. But in my case, it's already authenticated, so it's just asking to use this account or not. So I will select that account. So on select the account, a consent screen will come that this will use 3 services, like what when we define the scope, right, like profile and all that. So we just click the continue. On clicking the continue, the token will be generated from the Google and sent to here. That's what we have seen here. A token will be generated and result will come in this closure, and from this closure, when we get the token, we call our backend API with this token to validate if it is correct token and get the response. But anyway, our backend is not up. So but when we click the continue, a progress bar will come here. Look, this is a progress bar. This is what shown here, that the progress will come, and what it will call our third party SignIn API of our backend. And as I told, our backend is not running, so it will just show the progress, and it will give an same error like request timeout here also. So you can see the request timeout error for this SignIn view also. So that's all for this screen now. So sign in with Google, all the functionality. I will make the backend ready once we go through the home screen also. So once the functionality, we cover all the functionality, I will make the backend ready and we can authenticate successfully and see the home screen. So before that, we will go and see what is there in the home screen. So that means home screen will come where when we do this thing, that user, this, when we set this in this Google sign-in flow, in the SignUp view flow, everywhere we are setting that, and the login view flow, when everywhere when it is successful, we set this thing. On setting this in the authentication application screen, this variable will get the value. On getting the value got, when the value get changes, the screen will re-render, and here this condition will not match and this condition will match, and we will go to the home screen, will be rendered there. Okay, so home screen as seen in the wireframe. What we need first a text view like welcome, that username, and then the roles. Okay, so the username and roles, as I told, this token what we generated now, what we generate from our backend service, not the Google token. The Google token is intern and credential to generate our access token only, as I explained earlier. So from the login flow or the sign-in flow or the Google sign-in, we will get an access token from our backend which contains the username. So for a Google sign-in, the username will be that Gmail ID. For the login and sign-in flow, whatever username we enter in our UI, that will be the username which we present in the token. So that how we can get that. So what we do is whenever we load this page, so we have the text view. So before going that, I will just show you, we will decode that token. So the decode the token we am doing in this here. So in this view, I call a method called onAppear. So this method is called when the view get appear in the screen. It's a view life cycle of the view. When the view get appear in the screen, this method will be invoked. So onAppear will be invoked. So here in the onAppear, I have given another function. Yeah, he will say function only, not method. Here onAppear. So you can see load user attributes. So in this user attributes, what I am again calling a method called get user claim. So how we get that? So here I am again referring the access token. So that's what I told in the beginning also. This access token can be now accessed anywhere in the application. This token now has a value. That's only we have come to the home screen. So that access token will be decoded. It's basically a JSON web token, JWT token. So that token will be decoded, and from that JSON token we will get the username and other values. Okay. So what we do is, so from this token contains three parts. So one is the header, then the payload, and then the signature part. So the payload is where we have the details like the username and all of the stuff. So what we do is, this token I will split into three parts, and from the three parts I will take the index 1, that means the second part. So 0 is the first part and 1 is the second part, and it is splitted using the character dot. So because these three parts are separate using a dot symbol. So based on that only I am separating it, and I am taking the second string from the separated string. And what I am doing is I am doing some kind of padding and all, because this, as given here, this padding is required to decode this value. So just added a padding with equal to symbol. So this is required for the decode only. Here if we didn't add the proper padding, this decode will fail. So now what we get, we got at the padded string, and now what we do is it's basically a base 64 value. The base 64 value we have to now decode into a string. So what we do, we just use this data this library where we pass this base 64 value, and From there, whatever string we got, that will be a JSON string which contain attributes as we defined in a data class called user claim. So I have a data define a structure here, user claim, which will, so these are the three values we are decoding from the this access token. So username, authorities, and the expiry time. So username and authorities what we needed to display in this screen there. So whatever the JSON string which we got here we will just convert into the user claim, and now we get the user claim, and this is what written here. And this user claim, the username and the authorities nothing, the roles, that is set into the home screen view model. So again, coming to this home screen, I have created view model classes for the state purpose, for the maintaining the state only. So in the home screen, I have defined username, roles, and show progress. So here the username as discussed now to display in that view, because these two values are we received from the token only. So I have, because whenever this value change, the screen should re-render to display that. That's why I have set here. And the show progress is similar to what we discussed in the auth screen, just to show the progress whenever we call an API. So that's pretty much where is it, home screen, yeah, pretty much about the token decoding. So we got the token decode. Now we will go to the this view and see. So what we did, we have a scroll view. Now you should understand why we use scroll view, because we need to scroll it, right? Because this home screen contains quite a lot of content, and if you didn't have a scroll view, we cannot scroll and see the entire content. So we are creating a scroll view. Then the set stack, because we need to show a progress on top of the main view, so a set stack is introduced here. Then the V stack, so vertical stack, because all the contents are vertically aligned only, so we introduced the vertical stack. And now coming inside the vertical stack, first what we have, a horizontal stack, because if you see the username, yeah, in the wireframe we have only the username. In addition to that, I have also added a button called logout. This is because after coming to the home screen, because he's authenticated, and if the user want to log out, he can click that button and log out. So that welcome the username message and this logout will be horizontally aligned. So that's only it is put into the horizontal stack. So here you can see welcome and this home screen model dot username. This state object is given here. This state object, as you have seen now in the when we decode the user claim, we set this value. So whenever we decode, and decode happens when on the screen, whenever this view, this main vertical stack view appear, which contain all these values, when this appear only, this will get called, and when this is called, it will decode the token and change the state object. Once the state object is changed, it re-render, and on re-rendering, whatever value we decoded as a username, that will get displayed here. Okay, so that's here, and the button is for the logout. So logout, just defining a minimum width, means it's of 100 and the height 50 for the button only. Then what is a action? Action is a logout. So logout is a method. So it's same. Now whenever we set user default for this access token with some value, what happened? It comes to this auth application screen and re-render here. So if you want to log out, means we have to come back to the auth screen. So to come back to auth screen, we have to set this access token to empty value. So that's what given in the logout function. We're just setting it to empty value. So the state object changes and the home screen, the auth main app will re-render, and it will show the authentication page. So that's just this logout is also doing. Then a divider, just a line below that username and the logout button. Then what we need, as seen in the wireframe, we need to display the roles of these things. So roles also already we decode from the token. So basically this auth token, we have only one role called the user role. So that we will only, but this role is, as you have seen in this user claim class, the decoded class, here we are setting as an n, because the token in basically token contain n number of roles. So that's only we have given as an array of string, but for our scenario, for our purpose, we are maintaining only one role, but still it will be in a list only. So we come back here. So that's only, so we will put a text first as your role, and then below that we should iterate this this roles. So roles is given here from the state object roles. Here we are checking only if the roles is present, this the roles header and the roles value has to be displayed. So this will not come on what do you say, on the screen loading, only on the screen appear after the user attribute is loaded, this will come into picture. Okay, so we will display your roles text, and inside this, to iterate the value inside the view, there is a method called for each, or the function called for each. So in that for each, what we have to do is we have to send the array, and then it should have an ID. Here anyway it is a string only, we don't have any particular ID. So what we do is we will give us /self. So that means it will be like the self is something, it's the object, like current object. So this corresponds to the object of type string, because this roles is nothing a string, so that object. So if I have n number of string there, each string will have its own object, so that ID is maintained. That's only we are putting as .self. So here we can give, if we are maintaining an ID for each of this value, for example, if instead of this string, if we have a class, and this class, if we are maintaining an ID value, we can give that only. But here, since it's a string, we will use this .self. So it is like a in Java perspective, what we will say is it corresponds to the hash key. Whatever object we have a hash key corresponding to that. But here in SwiftUI, this can be done using this /self. Yeah. Okay. And inside that for each, what is that? This role. It's again a kind of a closure here. So here, each role will get iterated. So when the role is iterated, we will display that in the horizontal stack with the text view. That's how it's doing it. So we get the roles, on the roles we will iterate that and display here. Okay. Then finally, what we need, as you've seen in the wireframe, we have an employee fetch employee button and the list of the employee. On fetching the employees, it should display in the view. That I have kept in a separate view only, again for the code readability purpose and the modularity, because this employee is again a altogether different flow compared to the roles and username in the home screen. So I have created a sub view here with the employee view, and there what I am passing, employee view model and the home screen. Yeah, so we have seen the home screen model, which contains username, roles and show progress. So this show progress is required in the employee view also. So that's why we are passing the home view model. So employee view model is nothing, we need that employee response and the error string. So this error, whenever we call the employee API, if we get some error, to display that error only, the state object is there. So employee response in turn is the response what we receive from our backend API. So it contains the name, company and designation. In the wireframe, it has shown these are the three headers: name, company and designation. So that is given here, and since it is a response from the backend, we are giving decodable so that we can decode this JSON string to the employee response object. So that's what we are defining here, and we are passing where is that, this one, we are passing that. So we are declaring, we are instantiating here as an observer object. So you should have now known what is an observer object. That's already explained in the auth screen. So now we will go to the employee view. So in the employee view, we have the employee view model. Whatever we passing there, we will get here as an observed object only. And then what here we need in the view concern, from the viewpoint, what we need a button and a table where the employee should be present. So button is what we call the API, backend API. So here you can see both, everything is in a vertical stack. Yeah, here again I'm coming, we don't need any other horizontal is at stack or the progress view or nothing. So we just need the vertical stack. So here we have the button and the action is the fetch employee. So on clicking this button, this fetch employee function will be called, this intent called the backend. So let's see what we are doing here. Means what we in the view, and then we will go to this action, what this does. So if you get the employee from that previous this button action, that will set the response in the employee view model. So employee view model, employee is nothing, an array of employee response. So we will have n number of array response, so that we are setting here, and if that is present, this much block is executed. So here also same like the what you see in the roles, we use the for each. So in the for each, what employees, and employees, I am not just taking the employees, I am taking the employee indices only. This is because I need the index value of this role. For example, if I get 4 employees, I need to iterate through the indices and get the value, because you will understand why I am using that. Because, and ID is just, again I am using self only. So now coming back, why I am using indices is, if I use just like what do I give in the home screen, if I use just like roles only, I can get the role here. But with the indices, I can get the index number corresponding like 0. If you have 4, it will get like 0, 1, 2, 3. The number will get. Why I am using is because this is a table, right? In the wireframe you can see, right? We have a table with header and row. So when we are iterating, if the index is 0, that is the first row. So I have to display both the header as well as the first row. For the second row and all, I don't need, because already the header is there. So I just want to append below to the previous row. So that's the purpose, because this can be done using only if you know the position. If it's the first position only, we need this. That is only my intention. I am getting the indices and iterating, not the actual value. So if we get the indices, we can get the value by passing that index position to the employees array. We can get the value. That's the only purpose we are iterating with the index number. So yeah, we got the index. So if it is first row, we will add a header with the name, company, 3 columns. It will be horizontally stacked, and we are putting spacer. If you put only spacer without any frame, then what it will do is it will equally position these 3 views in that horizontal stack. That's what we need. We need all these 3 columns equal positioned. That's only we are using the spacer here, and this text is marked as bold because it's a header, so marked as bold. So now assume it is iterating through all other indices, even in the first position or the second position. What we do is, from that array we call the corresponding position and get the name, company and the designation value. And here I have put the font size as 12 only. This is because the screen comparatively, when compared to the text, it will be small. So if you if you try to print the big values, it will come to the next line and it will concatenate. So that's only I keep a very small text size, and also put the line limit as 1, so that it will be in a single line. Just for the visual appearance only, I have put this style here. The size as 12 and the line limit as 1. Same, the line limit I put 1 for the header also, so that I don't want in the table, I don't want to this value to come in multiple lines if the length exceeded the actual position in the view. That's also we iterate it, and this will be iterated only when the employee, the state object has the employees, and these employees will come when we call the corresponding backend API. Okay. And if there is any error when we call this API, that will be just printed in the text view below this. If any error is there, obviously this value will not be there, so it will come just below the fetch employee button. So that's all the view perspective of the home screen and the corresponding employee view. And now we'll come to the fetch employee function. So fetch employee function, it's an action here. So I have created another structure called employee action. So in the employee action, now we need the demo service URL. So earlier when we discussed, we have seen already, we have given the auth URL here, same way the demo service, because it is another microservice running in a different machine. When I run locally, I keep the same machine, but I specify different port for that. That's the way we can do. But in the real time, it will be in a different machine. And so we define the demo service URL here, and then coming to the info list. Here now I change openness to property list. So here I have defined here, so that I can now use this code use this property in the code. And you already know how this will work here. If you come here, this based upon this debug here, this configuration I explained already. Okay, so now coming back to the employee action. So we have this demo service URL attached to the base URL, and we also define the access token, this app store access token. This is important because now we are going to call a microservice. Till now in the authentication screen, we are authenticating and we are generating a token, and we generate this token, which means that the user is authenticated and with this token we will call all other API demo service all other microservices with this token, so that this demo microservices will validate this token, and only the user is authenticated and authorized, he will be allowed to process that API and get the response. So that is a full funda or agenda of this application or this project, right? Because we need a place where we have to create an authentication token, and that token has to be used for calling all other microservices, and this microservice should be validate that and give. So this microservices are called from different UI like iOS, Android or Angular, like web page, everywhere. So everywhere we have a unified framework, a token, irrespective of the platform it is calling, and Android, iOS or Angular, anywhere we get a token, and this token will be sent to the backend for any microservice, and this microservice will validate this token and authorized it will be. So that's only we are referring this token here, because this token will contain now the value, the actual token. That's only we are in the home screen. If the token is not present, it will not be authenticated. So we authenticated, the token is present. So that token also is declared here. Now coming to the URL as seen in the login and all that functionality, we need the URL request, which is created here, we should need the URL, which is the base URL plus the endpoint of the API. So here this employee API is put in an endpoint called employee backend service. So we get the URL, and it is a HTTP method get only, and yeah, it's a content type is JSON. Now here the authorization, here we give this access token. This is the full fund, this is the main thing we need, because only with this access token the backend will be authorized, and we will get the backend, the request will be authorized, and if it is authorized, if it is successfully authorized, then we will get the response. Yeah, so then with this URL request we are calling the data task as explained in the previous same data task thing, and here now it will come, we have the data response error. This is from this data task API that will be converted to our closure. In our closure we have the same like in authentication and the login, means authentication action, we have string which is an error. There it is authentication response, here it is an employee response, and employee response, it's an array of employee response, because we will contain an array, and employee response contain name, designation and company, and then there it was like error response, but here I create an API error, because we have to do some operation based upon the API error, because based upon some HTTP status code which we receive from the backend, we have to do some function or some actions in our UI. That's only I created an structure called API error with the two parameters, status, HTTP status code and error message. This error message is the actual error message we receive from the backend. In addition to that, we need the HTTP status code, because I want some actions to be performed. So that's what given here as the one of the closure parameter, API error. So let's see how it works. So we call this API, and we got the response. So if it is data, that means successfully call the backend. In case of a network error, it will come here, and that will be sent as in the closure response here. No, if we got a data, now what? If it is 200 to 299, perfect, it is correct, we got an response, we got an employee response. That will be set here and sent back. And here again, if there is any issue of JSON decoding, that will be sent back as an error. That's the only else condition. That is the purpose of this else condition. Yeah. Now it is not 200 to 299. 200 to 299 is a successful HTTP response. If we got some other thing, so these two are important, because 401 and 403. So 401 is the token now which we are sending from here. It was not successfully authorized in the backend. That means this token got, what do you say, manipulated, or token got expired. All these cases, yeah, because this token validity is something like 10. In our case, we kept as 10 hours something, but in real time it will be like 1 hour or something, depending upon the business requirement. So in that case, if the user is still using the same token, it will error in 401, because our backend will validate that, and that all logic is written in the backend. You can see the backend video how it is working there. So we will get 401. So 401 if we get, and say 403 is accessed in it, because for each microservices we will specify which user has access to their APIs. So that's only the role plays a role. Sorry, the role is provided in the token. So based upon that role only, the user will be allowed to call the approval. For example, here we are calling this employee API. So employee API, in that employee backend demo service, we have given the authority to the user role to call this API. And in that, when we develop this demo service, I have showed you if we change the role, how it will say. If there is no adequate role, then it will respond as 403. So these two cases we have to handle. So that's the purpose I have defined this API error structure here, so that if these two things are coming, we will send the HTTP status code and error message as empty, so that this can be handled in the UI side. Okay. Same way else, if any other than 401, 403, any other error come, just give that error message, whatever we got there. That will be handled in the UI, so display in the UI. Okay. So that's all. The handling of the employee action. So now coming back to the employee view. So we got the response. So what are the response? We have an error, employee response array, and the API error. So first, yes, again, the task is executed in the backend thread, background thread, not in the main thread. So we want to execute all this error, stop the progress bar, everything in the main thread. So we call the main thread using the dispatch queue main async. We will first stop the progress, because the progress is started when we click the fetch employee button. That will be stopped after receiving the response, irrespective of error, success or anything. We stop that. So if it is error, we do nothing, we just show that in the error text view. In here, this text view, we show that error. No, if it is an API error. So API error, as we have seen, it is for 401 and 403 have special rule. For other things, whatever error message we got, we just play. So if it is 401, it is unauthorized. The user is unauthorized. Either his token got expired or token is manipulated. He is unauthorized. If unauthorized means he should no more stay in the home screen, right? He should be logged out, because unauthorized user home screen is only for authorized user. Means authenticated and authorized user. If he is unauthorized, his authentication is no more valid. So he has to re-authenticate. So for that, how I am handling here is, in Android and all, we have something called toast. So what we can do, we can just put a toast and we can come out of this home screen. But here we don't have a toast, we have only the view thing. So if I put a view something here and I suddenly come out of this screen, that message, user will not get time to read the message. But in Android, if you see, the toast will, even if you close one screen and come to other screen, the toast is always attached to the root context, so it will still display there. But here I didn't find anything. So what I did was, I will show a message like your authorization expired, and I will give a time like 5 seconds or something. Here I define that time, I define here 5 seconds. Yeah, so till that 5 seconds, so means if we get responses 401, I will show a message in the error view with your authorization expired, and you will be logged out in this many seconds, which I am iterating. Like if it is 5, I am iterating 5 times, and I am sleeping for, this is nanosecond, this much nanosecond corresponds to 1 second. How many? 9 zeros. So that much time I will sleep. So 1 second, for example, 5 times I will iterate. That means 5 seconds this message will show, and here the second will change. First, like you will be logged out in 5, 4, 3, 2. Like after every second, here the second will change accordingly, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when it becomes 0, what I am doing is I am just setting the user default access token to empty, so that the view will go to the authentication screen, as explained many times here. Yeah, so that's the purpose is make the user aware that he was moved back to the authentication screen because his authorization expired. So this is the logic I am used here. And here, if you see, this should not be this is like there is a wait, right? We have to delay and wait. I cannot put in the main thread because we got the response, and if I make the main thread, I cannot stop the main thread. That's only I have created a task. The task is for the backend thread. So I am doing all this iteration like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I am sleeping here, right? I am sleeping. I am sleeping. I am putting the thread to sleep, so that I can just show the time like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that this operation, this thread sleep and operation, I cannot put in the main thread. So I created a backend thread so that the execution will not stop. The main thread execution will keep on going, but this thing will run in the backend. And here, if you see here, this each time the second changes, like from 5 to 5 is changed to 4 second, 3 second, that message has to be displayed in the main thread. That's why I am calling this in the main async, dispatch queue main async, so that the message after every 1 second the message will change in the main thread, but this sleep and this execution, the iteration will happen in the backend thread. So that's the purpose of putting a task and calling this. That's what this await and logout do. And finally, again, this is still in the backend thread. So to change the user, re-render that, means unset the access token, I am again calling the main thread. So that's for the 401. Once I will show this case how it works once the screen is once I finish with this flow. So same way 403, I think 403 he is still authorized, but he doesn't have the permission. So I'm to access this. So just I'm saying, because he's still authorized only, he doesn't, his role is not adequate enough to call that API. So I just show that in error mode, in the error view only. Same way for any other error, just display that only. And now it is not an network error or not an API error. If we got the employee response, array of employee response, we change this employee view model, that state object with this value, we set that value. So once that value comes, as I explained here, this screen will re-render, and when it comes here, this will have the value whatever we got the response, and it iterate through each indices, and for the first indices, header and the first row will be printed. For the other subsequent indices, only the corresponding row will be shown in the screen. So that's how the flow of the code, everything. So that's all the code. Now let's see, I will start the services in the backend, and let's see how all this functionality, how it works. Okay, I have started the backend applications. What is it? The authentication application, authorization application, and the demo service application. So let's first we will test an error flow here, because if I sign in with an username and which does not, because now it's all, everything is started as a fresh only, so there will be no username there. So let me just like code with Anish and 1 2 3 4 5. If I log in, I should get an error. Look, user does not exist. I got an error back from the backend response. So that this is an API error response. That error response will be shown here. Earlier, what the error shown was the network error, which was an error, generic error from that closure. So now we come to the sign up. Let's sign up here, code with Anish. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, now sign up. Perfect. It got authenticated. So what it did, we got the access token from the backend. That's only the access token variable got changed, and the screen re-rendered, and we get the welcome code with Anish and this logout button. Your roles, as I told, we have only one role in our token, that is role user. And now what we have, fetch employees. Maybe before going to fetch employees, let me log out and see if it is working. So when we click the logout, but that user default, that access token will be set as empty. Yes, it logged out successfully. Perfect. Now we can try for the login again. So now the login should work. Code with Anish, because the user is already created. 1 2 3 4 5. Login. Perfect. It's working. The login flow and the sign up flow both are working. Now fetch employees. Now let's see if you are able to fetch the employees. Yes. So here we call the backend service with the token. The token was validated successfully in the backend. Then that's only we got the response. That's only here. Since I want to display everything in the single screen only, I have made this font as tool, size tool, which I explained when I walk into the view. Look, so we have the response, whatever. Yeah, this all we have explained in the demo service in video. You can refer there. So we got the name, the company, the designation, the sample response from the backend. Okay, I will log out, and I will also sign in with Google and see how it works. So continue. I will give this. So So here now the username will be my Gmail ID. So continue. Look, it comes here. It will show the progress bar. Yeah, look, you can see welcome code with Anish, this one, full my Gmail ID. Now if I click fetch employees, look, you can see this also fetched, and yeah, you can see the full username here. So this is also working. Now if I do the logout, yeah, it's working fine. So that's a yeah, positive flow. Now let's test for some negative flow. 1 2 3 4 5 login. So we got here fetch employees, it's working. Now let's see this 401 flow. That is the important one flow, right? Because our application purpose, yeah, main purpose is authenticate and see the home screen. That is done. Now after authentication, if the token got expired or the token got manipulated or anything, what happened? If he got unauthorized, how it will work? Let's see. So for that I have to do some tweak in the backend. Let me do the tweak so that the token will get unauthorized. So I have invalidated the token now. So now let's see, if I call, I should get what? The same message. You do this one. Your authorization expired. You will be logged out in 5 4 3 2 1 second. Let's see. Yes, your authorization expired. You will be logged out in 3 2 1. Boom. Yes. So that is working. So this is one of the main features, right? Because if the user doesn't have authority anymore, he should not stay in the welcome page. He should be re-authenticated from the authentication page. Pretty much, yeah, I think I have covered the entire flow. So this is a basic authentication application. This can be now integrated with many other, because any user defined applications or user point of view application require authentication, because we cannot allow to use any application without authenticating the user, right? So this can be used as a base for that authenticating. Yeah, from the front end perspective, the back end and all, I have already created as a microservice only. You can see the video there. So the beauty of microservices, you can create a separate module, no need to integrate in a monolithic thing and all. So you can maintain this authentication separately, this microservices for each functionality separately. So generate the token and use this token to authentication all these microservices from this client, like this iOS, Android, Angular. Already Android and Angular I have shown this same way. So it's just a tip of a big mountain only. There's many things to explore in iOS or even the Android, but what do you say, big achievements are done from single small steps only, right? So this is a small step for that. So that's pretty much for this video. So in the next video I will come with more interesting topics. Till then, take care. Bye.